Greetings, salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, gather around the virtual water cooler as we get together to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, some TV stuff, all that sorts of jazz. Now, it's Friday here. Normally, Robert Meyer Burnett joins me on Friday, but he was working on a project, a documentary project for a new release, an anniversary release of one of the movies that he worked on. He had a deadline for today, so he worked all through the night. He's not going to be able to be here today, but he will be back on Monday. He wanted me to assure everybody, and I hope you guys are all having an absolutely fabulous day. We've got a bunch of things we're going to do here today and a lot of things to talk about. I want to let you know, last night we did something kind of fun on the YouTube channel. Some of you may have seen it, but just, you know, we're all quarantined, we're all kind of in lockdown, so I decided to launch up some games last night and actually played a few games with a bunch of the viewers and everything last night. That was a lot of fun, actually. I think we will do it again here really soon. Now, I want to let you guys know about a couple things before we get into our topics today. First of all, I'm going to be announcing this for at least a couple more weeks, just so you guys know. I've been asked for a long time about getting a podcast for the John Campea Show available to even non-Patreon supporters. And our Patreon supporters said, yep, let people have the audio edition of the podcast. So that's what we did. In case you did not know, for those days that you can't join us here on the YouTube channel, and obviously the YouTube channel is the best way to get the full experience of the show because we do a lot of graphics and everything too. But for those days that you can't, the podcast is now available. You can see here, it's available in Apple Podcast. It's on, I believe it's on everything. I think you can get it on just about every podcasting platform now. Just go and search for the John Campea Show. You should be able to find it and subscribe to the podcast today. The other thing I've been asked about a lot over the years is giving everybody kind of a full rundown list of my gear. So I did put together a list of all my gear, plus some things I kind of find cool. And where you can find that now is over at my website, thejohncampeashow.com. So if you go to thejohncampeashow.com/shop, so thejohncampeashow.com/shop, I'm going to be changing the top thing on here every week, the things John loves this week. So I got a bunch of cool things, but the main thing here is for everybody who's interested in knowing what it is I use on a daily basis to make the John Campea Show happen, I have a full list of all the different gear and gadgets that I use to make the show happen. Yeah, you even did see that there. I've got my Zevia Cola because I drink Zevia Cola on the show every day. So you can see a list. If you're just curious to know the gear that I use, you can go and see the list there. If you want to buy something out of the gear that I use, Amazon will give me a little bit of a kickback because you know what? Since they're paying my wife, damn it, now they can pay me too if they want to. Anyway, so there's all that. Listen, guys, we do have a few things that we need to talk about here today. But before we do, I got a little something I need to do. If you will indulge me for just a moment, something I need to do here. Let's see here. It is Sue Campea's birthday today. It's my mom's birthday. And my mom is up in Canada. I obviously can't see her right now. So, yeah, here we go. Just indulge me. Ignore this part. Go do something else if you want. But here we go. Okay, so. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear mother. Happy birthday to you. So there you go. Happy birthday, Mom. I wish I could be there. I wish I could hang out. I'm sure my sisters and my brother are going to do everything that they can with my mom up there. So happy birthday, Mom. I love you. I miss you. Give my best to Dad and everything too. So, I miss my mom so damn much. Okay, anyway, guys, we got a few things here that we need to talk about here today. Do I have everything back? Yes, I do. Okay, we got a few things we need to talk about here today. And before we get to our main topics, we need to go off the top with this. You know, we've been talking a lot about AMC theaters recently, and of course, the dire situation they find themselves in, which really sucks because they were doing some really smart things. They went into a lot of debt, $5 billion of debt. But the plan was they went into that debt acquiring new theaters, upgrading the theaters that they have, putting those leather recliner chairs in their theaters, developing their dine-in theaters, and most importantly, developing their A-list program, which just started to turn a profit for the first time, and it was heading into a big money-making thing for them. Everything was looking good. and they went into all the debt. They finished spending all the money, and as soon as they did, bang, the lockdown happened. They found themselves $5 billion in debt with no revenue and looking like they might never open their doors again. Now, I've said for some time that I do believe that, the industry needs AMC theaters here. Something has got to come up. And well, the first sign of life has now come out, as it looks like AMC has been rolling out a $500 million debt plan to help extend a lifeline to keep them alive. Because remember, Robert and I have been saying, look, when the theaters reopen again, there's some big movies coming out near the end of the year. If they can just make it to then, when the money starts to roll in, they might be able to make it. This might be what it is they need to survive this, which is great news. Now, let me just read what's in the report here, because this only came across my desk. Oh gosh, what am I going to say here? Probably about 20 minutes ago. So let me read this along with you guys. With the White House on Thursday providing guidelines that would see movie theaters reopen once the coronavirus pandemic begins to subside, with certain social distancing protocols, and AMC Theaters unveiling a $500 million private debt deal plan, Wall Street analysts weighed in on Friday on the exhibition sector, which has been hit hard by the virus crisis, and in particular, AMC Theaters. The sector biggie, AMC Theaters, controlled by China's Dalian Wanda Group. Not really controlled. They are the biggest shareholders, but now they only own about 30-something% of the company. But still, they are the largest shareholder of the group. Got a thumbs up from street watchers for buying itself more time to potentially avoid a bankruptcy filing with the proposed capital injection. But many see its big debt load as remaining is still a key challenge for the firm. Basically, it's this. They got a big influx of cash. Hopefully it's going to be enough to keep them alive to get to where they need to go. That's the hope. That's the dream. Now, in response, remember the other day, AMC stock was trading at like $2.08. This morning it opened to this news. It opened at $4. So the stock nearly doubled. Now, I think it's come down a little bit then, but I think you can expect to see it go back up. Look, I'm not saying AMC Theaters is going to make it, okay? Let's be clear. I'm not sitting here telling you now, oh, everything's fine now. Everything's fine. AMC's fine now. No, but this is a good step in the right direction. This is a great step in the right direction. Hopefully we'll see what happens, because once again, this is not just about AMC Theaters. All right. That's what a lot of people don't understand about this, because, I've had some people who aren't getting the big picture here writing to me and saying, well, John, if a company can't make it, then a company can't make it. And, to a degree, to a certain degree, I agree with that. To a certain degree, I do agree with that. You know what? If an industry or a company can't make it, well, then it goes to the wayside and something comes in and takes its place. But you got to understand, this isn't normal circumstances. It's not like AMC Theaters was just a badly run business and then it was going out of business. They were doing some very smart moves, taking some big risks, but risks that were going to pay off. And then this pandemic hit and it crushed them. But more importantly than that, the part that a lot of people don't understand is if AMC falls, it's going to create a wave of destruction throughout not just this industry, but several industries. Because there are other subsets of the industry that rely on AMC Theaters being there. AMC disappears, it creates more of a tectonic shift with other industries as well. We are talking about a really massive problem with the entire entertainment industry if AMC Theaters were to go under. And so it's really quite important, not just for AMC Theaters, but it's important for the industry as a whole that AMC makes it through this. So fingers crossed, they're not out of the woods yet, but it's at least for the first time in a little while, it's the first sign of a little bit of a good sign, a little bit of a sign of life, if you will. So again, here's hoping AMC is able to make it through this. Okay. With that down, guys, let's move on. And yes, many of you guys have noticed that I decided, I'm not going to wear a hat today. I'm so frustrated with my hair right now. Who's looking forward to the barbershops opening back up? This guy. I just got so frustrated with, I wear the hat all the time. I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to take the hat off. You can see the mop in all of its glory today. So that's what I'm doing, because you guys are in the same boat as me. I know a lot of you are in the same boat as me. So anyway, here we go. Okay, let's move on now to our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with the main topics by going anytime 24/7 over to my website, www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. And then hit submit. And then maybe, just maybe, there is a chance you might see your submission featured here as a main topic on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Eddie Narrows, who writes, "Hey, John, I know you mentioned it briefly at the end of your last show, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on the passing of Brian Dennehy. This dude was in so much, and so few actually knew his name. R.I.P. Yeah, it was near the end of me doing some of my shows yesterday that the news hit that one of my top 3 favorite character actors of all time, Brian Dennehy, who, like a lot of people, I first really took notice of when he was in Rambo, First Blood, the first Rambo movie. He was so great in that as the sheriff of the town. Of course, a lot of people remember him from Tommy Boy. I also loved him in this other smaller kind of underground boxing movie called Gladiator, that Cuba Gooding Jr. was also in. Now, not Gladiator with Russell Crowe. I think this is like in 92. And he was in this, where he was the big bad guy in this movie called Gladiator. I loved that movie. Not many of you guys probably don't even know that movie, but I loved that movie. Brian Dennehy, by the way, was recently a recurring character in Blacklist. He was in a bunch of episodes on Blacklist. He was a recurring character there. He was just one of these actors that you immediately recognized him. You immediately recognized him when he would pop up on screen. Not everybody knew his name, but you knew who he was. You saw his face, you know this guy. And on top of that, when you would see him in these movies, you knew that you were about to get whatever character he was playing. He was going to bring a lot of power, a lot of heavy on-screen presence that would captivate the screen when he was on it. That's just what he would bring to the table. He was that sort of an actor. And I remember Patton Oswalt has this great story about him and Brian Dennehy. He said, yeah, he goes, I was at this Hollywood party, and you got to go look it up. Look up Patton Oswalt, Brian Dennehy's story, and see if you can find it. But he's talking about, I was at this Hollywood party, and like in line behind me at the buffet was Brian Dennehy, and he and I were both just stuffing our faces, and I'd never met Brian Dennehy. And Brian Dennehy turns to me and says, isn't it great being character actors? We don't need to worry about this, as he pats his belly. And Patton Oswalt was like, I didn't know how to take that. But anyway, you know, Brian Dennehy, just a larger-than-life personality, a larger-than-life performer, a star of stage and screen. And it's sad to think we're never going to have. Now, he died at 81 with what a great career, what a great life. But it does sadden me knowing that we're not going to see that really comforting presence again. Because when he was on screen, it's like, Brian Dennehy is here. He's on screen. Everything's going to be good, you know? And I was really sad to hear about his passing. So once again, Brian Dennehy passes away at the age of 81. Simply one of the best character actors we've ever had in the business. And he will certainly, in his presence in this industry, will certainly be missed. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Cesare Wojcik, who writes, did you see that Universal just partnered up with Amasia Entertainment to bring up the Green Hornet and Kato? I personally cannot wait. What are your thoughts on these classic characters? And do you think a modern day movie could work? Thanks. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And I'm going to tell you what, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked to see this news come out. And it's legit news, guys. I mean, this isn't like some, Big Eddie's gas station movie blog.fart site. I mean, this is legit. This is coming like from Variety, and the big major trades are reporting this. It is true. Universal is doing a Green Hornet and Kato movie. Now, it is in no way associated with the Seth Rogen iteration of Green Hornet, which came out a couple of years ago. A Green Hornet movie that Seth Rogen did that was originally supposed to have Stephen Chow from Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer and stuff like that was supposed to be Kato, and they went another direction. A movie that I thought looked terrible. That Seth Rogen movie, I thought that Rogen movie looked absolutely terrible. I'm not going to lie. And you know what? I kind of had fun with it. I had fun with the Seth Rogen Green Hornet. I really did. The question is now a good time for something like the Green Hornet? And the answer to that question is, honestly, I don't know. See, I think there's some ups, pros, and cons, downs about the whole notion of it. You know, on the one hand, Green Hornet is kind of a character from his era, right? That, you know, when we had Green Hornet on television back in the Batman era, this type of hero was kind of very much a byproduct of the culture and era that Green Hornet was a part of. And even though I liked the Seth Rogen movie, and I did, I liked the Seth Rogen movie. Even though I liked the Seth Rogen movie, there was a little bit of a hurdle that it just couldn't get over, in that it just didn't feel to me that, even though Seth Rogen was making me laugh in the movie, it never quite felt to me like I was watching a hero of this age. It always felt like it was still a hero that's a little bit out of time. Almost like a Captain America, if you will, just a hero out of time a little bit. So can that character work today? So that's the downside. The other side, though, is this. It's like the Lego argument. If you write it well and you make an exciting story and you do great things with it, then yeah, you can. Now, the question is, who do you get to play Kato? I mean, yes, who do you get to play Green Hornet? That's a big question too, but who do you get to play Kato? You know, if it was 10, 15 years ago, Jackie Chan would be on the table, Stephen Chow would be on the table. Tony Jaa may still be a good option, but Tony Jaa's going to be, but then again, he's not actually getting that old. He was just in that Fast and Furious. Tony Jaa might be a good option. What I primarily want to see, though, in Kato, but it depends on what they want to do with Kato. If their character of Kato doesn't have a ton of dialogue, I would love to see them go just find the best martial artist you can. Obviously, if you want to have Kato as a bigger part of the narrative story and have more dialogue and stuff like that, well, then you need to go with the best actor you can get. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go. And even more importantly than who you cast as Green Hornet and who you cast as Kato is getting two actors that are going to have a really good chemistry with each other. That's going to be key too. And then, are they going to go serious superhero movie? Are they going to go tongue-in-cheek schlocky comedy, kind of like the Seth Rogen one was? And once again, I got a kick out of Seth Rogen's. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I got a kick out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, man, listen, if you had told me 24 hours ago that, John, they're announcing a new superhero movie tomorrow, which one do you think it's going to be? I never would have guessed Green Hornet. Never would have guessed Green Hornet. So the question is, guys, what do you think about Universal getting into the Green Hornet game? Do you think this is a hero that is out of his time? Or do you think, you know what, a fresh take on this character could be exactly what movies need right now? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down and out of the way, let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Adnan Ramouni, who writes, "It's being reported that J.J. Abrams' production company, Bad Robot, is developing a few new shows for the upcoming HBO Max, including a Shining spinoff called Overlook, which is very interesting, and a DC show, Justice League Dark. Justice League Dark has been rumored and worked on for a while. Do you think it will happen under Abrams? What do you think?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, look, we've known for a while that J.J. Abrams has moved his shingle and he signed this big deal with Warner Brothers. Now, we've heard of a few things here and there, but we're wondering really when's the first big splash going to be. Well, this could be it. This comes to us from IndieWire, who writes, HBO Max described this new Justice League Dark film, which, by the way, they're not officially calling Justice League Dark at this moment. They're just calling it a property based on this. So here's what IndieWire wrote. HBO Max described the third project as a major series to be based on DC comic characters from Justice League Dark, though additional details have yet to be revealed. It's unknown what characters would appear in the series, though the superhero team has featured eclectic heroes such as John Constantine, Swamp Thing, and Deadman, as well as many others. So that's what we're getting. Now, what's interesting in this and what's being overlooked by a lot of people, overlook, again, no pun intended, the part about this story that's being overlooked by a lot of people is that whole notion of The Shining and doing the Overlook Hotel. Now, nobody went to go see Dr. Sleep, the Ewan McGregor sequel to The Shining. Nobody went to go see that this past year, which is really unfortunate because that movie is great. That movie's great. Dr. Sleep is a great movie. I had so much fun with it. It was so wonderful. Bad title, didn't market it right. The film flopped, which is really unfortunate because it deserved much better. So I think that's something we got to keep our eyes on as well. A really slick little horror film or like horror series based on the Overlook Hotel. Maybe it'd be like an anthology series of different things and people that walk through the doors of the hotel. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I think the idea is intriguing. The sexy part of the story, though, that guy has most people talking, of course, is this whole thing about Justice League Dark. That's the part that has everybody kind of talking. And understandably so, right? This is something that we've seen several attempts. Warner Brothers over the last couple of years has tried several times to get a Justice League Dark going. They tried to get it going with Guillermo del Toro. That had a bunch of people excited for a while, and then that never happened. Then I think even Doug Liman was lined up at some point to do something with Justice League Dark as a feature. Never went anywhere. So it looks like Warner Brothers is turning their attention with Justice League Dark, which they haven't given up on, to the big screen onto television. And they're doing it with J.J. Abrams. I have mixed feelings about it. Mostly positive, but a little bit of mixed feelings. Let me tell you some of the negative feelings I have, then let me tell you about some of the positive ones I have. On the negative side, you know, we are very much a what have you done for me lately kind of culture, which is unfortunate because we're actually really stupid that way, but we are. And I just saw Rise of Skywalker, and I did not like Rise of Skywalker. Even though I love what he did with The Force Awakens, I did not like Rise of Skywalker. So there's a little bit of that. There's also been a couple things he's taken swings on and not quite hit with. On the other side, though, the part that does give me a little bit of enthusiasm and excitement for the project is the fact that, you know, J.J. Abrams has a pretty damn good track record of launching really great, you know, fantasy sci-fi kind of properties. Now, remember, this is his production company, Bad Robot. It's not necessarily that J.J. Abrams is going to be the showrunner of it. He might be, he might not be. He is going to be writing the series, one of the other series that he's developing for HBO Max right now, so we got to keep that in mind at the same time. But he's got a pretty good track record. I thought his first Star Trek movie was really fun. Obviously, I love his first Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens. I loved that one. He's got a deep experience and resume when it comes to developing television shows and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a little mixed, but I think I'm going to choose to be a bit optimistic here because he does love the DC universe. You know, say what you will, like or dislike J.J. Abrams, he has a love of the DC universe, and he's been trying to do DC projects for years. He's been trying for years to get a DC project going. You know, oftentimes there's been a lot of obvious obstacles because he couldn't because of studio affiliation, but he has wanted to do a DC-based property project for years. He's got a deep love for the universe. He wants to do it, so that's good. But can he deliver? And by the way, it should also be pointed out here, and I don't want to be a downer or anything like that, but it does have to be mentioned. Just because they're announcing that he's developing it does not automatically mean it's going to happen. Again, as we reference the Guillermo del Toro project. They announced it, he's developing it, it's gonna come, and it never came. Then other people, like I believe, like I said, Doug Liman, gonna do it, it's gonna happen now, and then it didn't happen. So while they're saying he's gonna be developing it, it does not at this point automatically mean that it will happen. We're gonna have to keep our eyes on this and wait for an official word to say it gets the green light and all that kind of stuff, and then we can start getting a little bit more excited. But until that time, we gotta stay a little bit cautious. We got to temper the excitement and temper our expectations just a little bit at this point, and that's probably going to be the wise thing. All right, guys, that will actually do it for all of our main topics today. Not a lot of stuff out there today worth talking about, but a couple of big items, the Green Hornet thing, Brian Dennehy, of course, the J.J. Abrams stuff with Justice League Dark. These are big things, but not a ton of other things. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to roll right into our live questions, guys. We're not even going to take a 4-minute break today. We're just going to roll right into our live questions. So let's get things started and roll right in there. And we're going to start things off with a good Canadian kid who writes, Disney has censored Splash. Well, again, they didn't really censor it. Anyway, has censored Splash, but I find it funny they didn't censor Hugh Jackman's butt on X-Men Days of Future Past, which is on Disney+. Actually, it's not. At least not in its main market, the United States. Now, there are some X-Men projects on Disney Plus in other territories, but there are no X-Men movies on Disney Plus in the United States of America. And I can tell you right now, that's probably has mostly to do with streaming rights, that probably other people still have some streaming rights for the moment. But the X-Men films will all wind up over on Disney Plus at some point. They'll be there. Or they'll put them on Hulu, maybe. But if they do, when and if they do show up on Disney Plus, though, I'll guarantee you the Hugh Jackman butt shot won't be there. I guarantee you that. It won't be there. And it's fine. That's playing on Disney Plus in other markets right now. But once they bring it to Disney Plus in the States, unless they just put it off and all the X-Men films off over onto Hulu, which is a possibility. Because, for instance, like in X-Men First Class, there's a big F-bomb that gets dropped, right? By Wolverine. But if it does end up on Disney Plus, I guarantee you, never say never. But for now, I'll say I guarantee you the butt shot won't be there. The F-bomb won't be there. And it won't affect the movie. There'll be a lot of us that'll whine and complain. They took out the F-bomb. And I get it, yeah, because that's a funny moment. But it's not going to affect the movie in any way, shape, or form. It'll be fine. So, yeah, they're either going to put the X-Men films on Hulu, or when they do wind up on Disney Plus, they'll have that part removed because they want it, again, they want parents to know that if we put something on Disney Plus, you don't have to worry about your kid watching it. That's their main thing with Disney Plus. And so, yeah, it's true. It is on Disney Plus in other countries, but it's not in the US. And when it is on the US, I guarantee you that part's going to be gone. I guarantee you that part's going to be gone. So we'll see how this kind of unfolds, good Canadian kid. All right. One of my viewers writes, that's a good name. For a while, DC movies were very polarizing with audiences, but then they turned around with the majority of audiences liking the past 4 films. True. What do you think Star Wars has to do to their movies to make them less divisive amongst audiences? It's the same as any movie. You just got to make just hope for the best. You make the best movie you can and you hope for the best. There's no formula. Now, I would say this, the thing about the Disney or about the recent DCEU films, notwithstanding the films outside of the DCEU like Joker, right? So that doesn't count. But films like Aquaman, films like Shazam, they really did simplify them. And that's not a bad thing. But when you really sit down and look at the structure of, like, say, Aquaman, Shazam, they really did reel it in and they simplified them. As far as narrative goes, they made them a lot simpler. And I'll tell you what, to good effect. Aquaman was a fun movie. Shazam, I adored. I thought Shazam was just full of charm and really great. They didn't take any big risks. And that's okay. Not every movie needs to do that. Most movies don't need to do that. Once in a while, you want a movie that's going to take a big risk like a Joker. And that worked. But you don't need to do that with every movie. Actually, you shouldn't do that with every movie. Some movies, you just want to try to design an experience for the audience that they can just thoroughly enjoy. And I thought they did that with Shazam. Now, obviously, the last couple Star Wars films, they rolled the dice big. They tried with the last couple Star Wars films to take some big risks, try some really bold different things, because the audience kept yelling at them that they wanted them to do that. So they did, and they worked in some regards, and in other regards, they didn't work. You know? I love The Force Awakens. I think that's a great movie. And you'll find that the vast, vast, vast majority of the audience loves Force Awakens. The vast majority of the audience does. But then you get into the last 2 films. You get into The Last Jedi, which I like, but a lot of people don't. And then you get into The Rise of Skywalker, which a bunch of people do like, but I and many others don't. So it just comes, it's the risk of every movie. There's no magic formula. That's the thing. People who are movie fans, and myself included, we all think there's some kind of formula. Oh, just do this and everything works. And it's not that easy. But I would say that one of the things that is a hallmark of the last couple of DC movies is that they decided to simplify it a bit. And it worked. They worked really well. And we'll see what they do moving forward. But maybe that's something that Star Wars needs to look at. Just simplify it a little bit more. Listen, I love Mandalorian. I do, but when you really sit back and watch Mandalorian, they really did simplify the storytelling. You know, this is our hero, or anti-hero as you call it. This is Baby Yoda. Those are the bad guys. Go. You know, they simplified it and just reduced it down to the pure experience of a Star Wars universe project. And I think that's part of the reason why it works so well. But anyway, we'll see. You shouldn't always do it that way. You shouldn't always do it the opposite way. Every film is unique. All right, next up. James Ward writes, what scares me about the Splash situation is that if Disney replaces physical media like we think it will, then edited versions of films may be the only way to be able to watch the films. Also, Enemy is a great film. Watch it for the first time yesterday. I love Enemy. But let's go back to the first part of your argument, James. The first thing that we need to point out here is that what you're expressing is what's referred to as a slippery slope argument, right? And you got to be careful making slippery slope arguments, because slippery slope arguments assume a lot of things. They're asking you as the individual to make a bunch of assumptions that we just don't know that will be true. So, like, for instance, here's a slippery slope argument. Kid goes to his dad, asks to borrow $5. A slippery slope argument would be, well, yeah, it may not be a big deal to give him $5, but if you give him $5 now, tomorrow he's going to come back and ask for $15. And then the day after that, he's going to ask for $100. And then he's going to have a cocaine habit and he's going to die of an OD. That's called a slippery slope argument. Where you're saying, okay, but if this happens, then you assume the next worst thing will happen. Then you assume the next worst thing will happen. And it calls on us to make a lot of assumptions. Now, that doesn't mean that slippery slope arguments are completely invalid. Not at all. I sometimes will make a slippery slope argument. Sometimes there's a good place to use it. I think what you're assuming, though, is that Disney Plus takes out a butt scene because they want it to be family friendly. Everybody then jumps to the assumption of, well, they've taken it out everywhere. Not true. All the places you can go and buy the movie, both physical and digital, where you can go and purchase the movie, it's still the regular version. Like if I go over to Google Play Store and buy Splash, it's the original version. It's digital streaming, but it's the original version. It's just that for their streaming network, they want to make sure it's as family friendly as possible. So they didn't change the movie. They didn't change the story. They changed none of the meaning. They didn't do anything that materially changed that film in any way, shape, or form. They added a longer batch of CGI hair just to cover an ass to protect families. That's it. And only for their streaming network. Now, is there a dark future, James, where Disney eliminates all competition, nobody can buy digital copies of movies, which I don't think that's going to happen for many, many decades. I think you're going to be able to buy your own digital copy of a movie for a very, very long time. And you're still going to be able to buy physical copies of movies for a few years. Is there a possibility? Is there one of those realities that Doctor Strange looked into, the 14,500,001, whatever it is, futures, where Disney has eliminated all digital purchases and all there is on-demand streaming services from a subscribed streaming service? Possibly, but I don't think we should assume that. And so I tend to resist that fear, right? Right now, it's just, look, again, it's like any other network. If CBS, nobody ever complains when CBS airs a movie of the week and they, change the F-bomb to flippin'. And you can see the lips. Nobody complains because we understand, for CBS to put that on their network, they need to take out an F-bomb. They need to take out the booby shot, whatever. And nobody complains. Disney Plus is just another network. That's all it is. It's different and unique because it's streaming, but it's still a network, and they're just making what they're putting on their network is going to conform to certain strategies. So I don't think it's a problem. I really don't. I think I think everybody's just getting worked up over nothing. I really do. Now, that's not to say any changes would be, so if, for instance, if they took out entire characters, or if they fundamentally changed the thing in the movie, then I'd be like, what's going on? But all they did was they used CGI to lengthen the girl's hair so it covered her ass. That's all they did. Why is anybody complaining about this? Seriously, why is anybody complaining about this? I feel like I and the rest of my movie-going brethren, I feel like we all, including me, because I've done this too, I feel like a lot of times we're just looking for something to complain about, because there is nothing to complain about here. There really isn't. Okay, then go watch Splash on another service. Don't watch Splash on Disney Plus. Watch it somewhere else. Just like if you want to see Snakes on a Plane and you want to hear Samuel L. Jackson drop all the F-bombs, great. Don't watch it on NBC when they play it as their movie of the week. Go watch it on your Blu-ray disc, or go watch it, buy it on Amazon Prime and go watch it there. You know what I mean? I don't know. I still think it's much ado about nothing. But let's keep our eye on the situation, see how it unfolds. Let's see if it actually breaks bad or doesn't do anything wrong. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. All right, next up. Kevin from Canada writes, "Hey, John, do you know what is going on with Ridley Scott's third Alien film coming after Alien Covenant? I haven't heard much lately, and I know there was some conjecture on whether he could continue on with the third film or not. As always, stay healthy." Thank you so much for that, Kevin. From what I've heard, there's been zero movement. Zero movement. And I will also tell you this. While I enjoyed Covenant, I'll be honest with you, unpopular opinion, I liked Covenant more than Prometheus. I did. I didn't like Prometheus. I didn't think it sucked, but overall I didn't enjoy Prometheus. I got what they were going for, but I didn't think they executed well. I actually preferred, by a little bit, I preferred Covenant, but Covenant flopped. Actually, let's bring up some actual numbers here. Let's see. Alien Covenant box office. I know it did not do well. Worldwide, Alien Covenant made $240 million worldwide. On a $100 million budget, that's not enough to make that movie lost money. It lost the money. So it made 240. If we looked at Prometheus, hold on a second. Prometheus box office. If we look at Prometheus also didn't do great, but Prometheus made $400 million. But you look at that trajectory. Prometheus made $400 million, which isn't great. They were hoping for better from that, but still, it made a little bit of money. But then the next one took almost a 50% drop. Almost cut in half. And made $240 million, and a lot of people didn't like it. So I'm going to guess, and I'm just guessing here, my guess is we are not going to see another Ridley Scott Alien film. That's my guess. It could. He was trying to get one done. He wants to get one done, but I don't know that the studio is going to get behind it. So I'm going to guess right now, without any conviction and not willing to put a single dollar on it, but my guess right now is that we're not going to see another one. An anonymous viewer writes, "Hey, John Rob. Hope all is well. So I was watching Regarding Henry. Oh, such a good Harrison Ford movie. Regarding Henry from 1991 with Harrison Ford. The script was written by Jeffrey Abrams, a.k.a. J.J. Abrams. Cool. What's your favorite movie written by a director who did not direct the movie itself?" Oh, dude, that's not something I carry around in the top of my head. I honestly, it's a great question. It's a very interesting question. Movies written by directors who didn't actually direct that movie. That's a very interesting question. I mean, if I was able to sit down and think about it more, I'd be able to come up with a couple of others. The one that jumps to mind for me is Taylor Sheridan, or is it Tyler Sheridan? I think Tyler Sheridan. Let's go with Tyler, who directed Wind River, which is so good. I still think it should have gotten more Oscar buzz. I really do. Wind River was brilliant. So he is a director, but he also wrote some amazing films that he did not direct. Like, for instance, Hell or High Water with Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges. Everybody I know who's seen that movie loves that movie. Hell or High Water is so freaking good. It's actually a little bit sickening that he's that talented. So that's one that comes to mind. And I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it more, I'd be able to come up with a few more, but it's not off the top of my head. But the Tyler Sheridan one, that's definitely one you should check out, because those are great films. Both the ones he wrote and directed, like Wind River, and ones that he showed. Sicario, by the way. He also wrote Sicario. Or Sicario. Is it Sicario or Sicario? I'll say Sicario for now. He also wrote Sicario. So great writer, great director, and some of those movies he just wrote and not directed. So you might want to check some of those out. Okay, let's see here. Willow writes, I'm in the exact same boat as you with Better Call Saul. I watched the first 3 seasons and really liked the show. Squat Cobbler is one of the funniest moments I've ever seen in recent memory, but I just never got back to watching the series again. This is one of the strange, I've got a couple of shows. Look, We all have tons of shows that we tried to start watching, wasn't working for us, so we abandoned it. But I've got a couple of shows that I started watching and really enjoyed, but then for whatever reason I fell off watching it. Person of Interest is like a show like that I just started that show. I got 1 or 2 episodes in. I really liked it, but for whatever reason I never kept watching it after that, and I don't know why. But Better Call Saul is kind of like the poster child of that for me. I really loved the 3 seasons that I watched, and then I never kept up with it, and I don't know why. At some point I got to get back to it, Willow. You and me both, Willow. We both, at some point, we got to get back to that show. All right, because I hear it just keeps getting better. Tucker writes, just watched Lord of the Rings for the first time. Good on you, man. And wow, never cry in movies, but I just started crying at the end. Can't believe I deprived myself from this series for so long. You know, one of the silver linings of this whole lockdown cloud is the fact that it's giving a lot of people opportunities to go and check out classic, fantastic movies that for one reason or another, they've never gotten around to watching before. We've heard a lot of people talking about Godfather, which is awesome, and some people even haven't seen the Lord of the Rings films yet. And my friend, you bow to no one. What a great ending. I get chills thinking about that. I almost want to break into tears myself, Tucker, so good on you for getting caught up on that film. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Or those films, plural. I'm glad you enjoyed them. All right, the nerd Errant writes, damn it, John. We're not bringing enough filthy. We need more smut and vulgarity and fast. I know. Let's start snickering the catchphrase for Field of Dreams. Yeah, because if you build it, they will. Yes, more filthy. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. A little bit of inside baseball here for you guys. I'm going to give you a little bit of inside baseball. I am trying to reduce the number of times I swear on the show. I don't know if you've noticed, but like, whereas quite often I would just say F, now I'm saying F instead of the full word. Did you notice me doing that lately? I'm trying to behave. I'm trying. And you know what? Here's what happens. This has always happened, but I've gotten several of these emails lately, and it's made me, look, I'm never going to go pure G-rated. You're never going to see me purely G-rated, but I have always gotten emails from people, and more in the last couple of months, of people writing to me, not complaining, just writing to me saying, hey, John, like some dads and even a couple of moms writing, hey, John, you know, I love the show. Just want you to know it's something that me and my 10-year-old, we sit down and watch your show every day because my 10-year-old's really getting into movies and loves the movies you talk about, and blah, blah. And the more I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, now I got this image in my head of like these little children sitting with their moms and dads. Oh, good, that Mr. John Campea is on now. And that's how everybody should act, by the way. That's how you should react when I come online. Oh, good, Mr. John Campea is on it. That should totally be everybody's reaction. But be that as it may, I have this image now in my head of little children and me going off yelling, mother effer and blah, 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 and going off on one of my rants. So I'm trying a little bit. I'm trying a little bit to just tone it down a touch. I mean, you're still going to hear me fucking swear once in a while. I mean, it's still going to happen, but I am trying to be more aware of the fact there are some people who watch the show with their kids. So I'm like I'm going to make an effort, guys. I'm going to make an effort. All right. Thanks for that, nerd Aaron. Anonymous writes, I just finished watching Alex Garland's miniseries Devs. I am dying to watch this because it's got Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec in it. Offerman. Bill Offerman? Nick Offerman in it. And everybody tells me it's amazing. It's a Hulu series. I'm dying to watch it. Ann and I both are going to get on that because that one is definitely a check mark for us. We want to see this. I just finished watching Alex Garland's miniseries Devs on Hulu, and I loved it. Have you guys seen it? It's a bit mind trippy, but that's totally my thing. Nick Offerman is fantastic, and Alison Pill, who's in Picard as well. And she's the first time I noticed Alison Pill was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. We are Sex Bomb 1, 2, 3, 4. And anyway, Good Canadian Kid is such an underrated actress. I love her, actually. I think she's great. And I love Nick Offerman. And I am very, very excited to see this. And I keep hearing from people announced that this show is really good. So it's definitely on our radar. Senor Ashish writes, why not follow trends of other franchises like Terminator Dark Fate, Halloween 18, Superman Returns, and have Man of Steel sequels ignore Batman vs. Superman? Justice League, Suicide Squad completely. In other words, ignore the bad divisive films like they never occurred, and pick the story up after the good films. It's a little. I mean, you can, but the DCEU. The problem with that is that the DCU is more canon-based than, say, some of those other, like Halloween. It doesn't matter. There's no extended story. There's no shared cinematic universe of Halloween. If you want to just, in a linear fashion, cut it off at one point and pick it up in another, that's fine. But if you do that with one film in the DCU, you're now affecting all the films in the DCU and all the different franchises. So if Man of Steel does that, then that affects Wonder Woman, and that affects if a Flash movie happens, and that affects everything else they're trying to do. Because unlike Terminator's not a cinematic universe. Halloween's not a cinematic universe. Superman Returns was a reboot in many ways. It was spiritually a sequel, but in real terms, it was a reboot. You had a new actor coming in playing the role. It was a reboot. So it is an option that's open to them, but the nature of the films and being connected to so many other franchises and what happens in one affects the others, it does create additional challenges. That makes it not just such an easy thing to do, but it's not like it's not on the table. I'm sure it is a possibility. So who knows? We'll have to see what happens. By the way, another franchise that did that was the Highlander. Highlander 3 came out and completely pretended like the Highlander 2 never happened. So that's another example of something that did that. So maybe there's a way to do it. All right, Tyler B writes, "Hey, John and gang. Did you see the new trailer for the live-action adaptation of Brave New World?" I did, with Alden Ehrenreich, as a matter of fact. It's my favorite novel, and now I'm super excited to see the show. What are your thoughts? Thank you for the awesome content, and bring on the filthy. Well, I mean, there's a couple things you got to keep in mind. Number one, I've never read the book, and I'm very unfamiliar with the book. I just knew it was a little bit of a futuristic kind of thing, but it's all I've ever known about the book. I know that Demi Moore is in this thing. I know that Alden Ehrenreich, who played the young Han Solo. And by the way, I thought he did a great job playing a young Han Solo. I really did. I thought he did a very, very good job in that. And I think he's a very good actor. So it's going to be interesting to see. I thought the trailer was okay. It didn't do a lot to really grab me by the throat and just make me go, oh my God, I have to watch this. I have to. I never felt that. But not bad. And like I said, the fact that you got Alden Ehrenreich in there does catch my attention. So I'll be looking forward to it. Of course, it's going to be on the Peacock network. Please, any reps from NBC Universal watching this, for F's sakes, please change the name of that stupid name. Change that stupid name of your streaming service. It's not too late. Please change it. It's an idiotic name. Anyway, Zeta Wing writes, Dune is to be split into 2 films. Yes. I worry that the second film may never happen. Of course it might not. Any film franchise might not get a second one. While Villeneuve has a great quality track record, it is not really translated to blockbuster success. Well, he's never really done blockbuster types of films other than Blade Runner 2049, which the studio completely screwed up their marketing campaign. Anyway, it is not really translated to blockbuster success. Will the studio greenlight a second film without a blockbuster hit, say 500 plus million? I'll say this. I don't think the first Dune movie has to make 500 million. With a couple of asterisks here. I think a $400 million movie with great reviews that people like, greenlight second film, no problem. Because maybe they even lose a little bit of money, but they would have every reason to believe that a sequel would do better. If the critics love it and if the audience that went to go see it loves it, then like a $375 million, $400 million box office would probably still be enough. But a $375 million or $400 million box office result where the critics and the fans didn't like it, then it's done. You won't see a part 2. You won't see a part 2. Because they would have no reasonable expectation that a second one would perform better at the box office. Once you get into 500 and 600 million, then it almost doesn't matter if it's critically well received or if the audience likes it. They'll probably greenlight a second. Like once you get to 550, 600, 650, once you get into those numbers, I think a second film is an automatic. If it comes in under 375, 400, but with good positive reviews and the audience really liked it, then there's a reasonable expectation that the second film would do better. You greenlight it. But if this movie makes like $200 million, and it doesn't matter, it could be the greatest film of all time. If they make this Dune and makes $200 million, no one's going to go see a second one. I have a lot of faith in it, though. Personally. All right, Dim5 writes, I'm assuming you've seen, these are super chats that came in during our gaming stream last night. So hold on a second. Let me just get past, there we go. So those ones are from our some people sent in some super chats during our gaming session last night, which was a lot of fun. And thank you to everybody who came in and played. It was a lot of fun playing with everybody. It was a really good time. Anyway, Not Kevin Feige writes, sorry for the sallow recommendation. I can't remember that. I was drunk and seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyways, Donnie Brasco, very good film. Donnie Brasco is a good one to watch during these times. The film is the tits. It's a really good film. Look, not my favorite Al Pacino. That, by the way, I'm just assuming that's the one with Al Pacino and Johnny Depp. Let me just make sure I look it up here. Watch this. I'm totally thinking of the wrong film because that has happened before. I've started talking about a movie and then realized, wait a minute, I'm completely talking about the wrong movie. No, it's the right one, directed by Mike Newell. Yeah, good film. Not the best Johnny Depp performance, not the best Al Pacino performance or whatever, but it is solid. It is a solid little movie, and I like it very much. Anne Hesh is in that, by the way. I like her. I like Anne Hesh in that movie. All right. Anyway, next up, Murray Reich writes, hey, John, whenever you say the word ever, you always say it means for sure anything is possible. True. Like if you were to ask me, John, do you think they could ever blank, blank, blank? Well, if you ever ask ever, then yeah, it's absolutely a possibility. Anyway, so in that regard, I think it's safe to say that it is possible that in this ever world, that you will release the breakdancing cut. Oh, sure. Yeah, it's possible. But it will literally take millions of dollars to do it. So it's possible. It's possible. It's there. Those VHS tapes are buried in a box, just like at the end of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they hide the Ark away in the big warehouse. Top men. It is buried away. These VHS tapes are buried away in boxes at the Campea Ranch, never to see the light of day again. But for millions, I'd suck it up and put it out. You would see the shaved sides, not to the skin, but very, very short sides with little lightning bolts shaved into them. Oh, God, I kid you not. The long hair, the sun-in bleached blonde on the sides with dark hair on the top. Ooh. And you wonder why I'm not letting anybody see him. Anyway, let's move on. Murray Reich writes, I think I know why many people are upset that Daryl Hannah butt got censored, because that's America's ass. Listen, it is truly one of the finest asses ever to grace the screen. Whew, listen, and all of us, come on. Daryl Hannah's is one of the first naked bodies we ever saw on screen. For many of us, that was like, as kids, that was like one of the first naked girls that we've seen on screen. And that will be with me forever. It's a very special moment. That's a very special moment. That will be with me forever. So yeah, I'm not happy that Disney is covering it up, but I get it. I mean, that's the thing. All right, Justice for Shaw. Oh, I love that name. Justice for Shaw writes, Han had it coming, and he will again soon. That's right. I want to see Shaw kill him again. Oh, God. I want Shaw to pop up at the end of Fast 9 and kill Han again, and I want to be sitting in the movie theater with Robert Meyer Burnett next to me just so I can watch his face. That would be the greatest thing ever. All right, Zaya writes, John, can we talk a little bit about Bad Boys for Life? I know you didn't have a video review, but I would like to know your thoughts on the movie. I've talked about Bad Boys for Life a few times. I liked the film. I didn't think it was amazing. It has its problems. It's whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, it was a good time. I enjoyed watching that movie. I walked out with a smile on my face. And look, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing a movie needs to do. Movies need to deliver an experience. All right? Movies need to deliver an experience. And if you walk out of a theater with a smile on your face and you had a good time, then the movie did its job. And for me, Bad Boys for Life did. It was certainly better than I thought it would be. And I walked out going, you know what? I hope they do another one. And apparently they are. And it had really good financial success. Not the biggest blockbuster in the world, but had good financial success. And I'm looking forward to seeing another one. I thought they did a good job with it. All right. Russell Amador writes. Hey, am I on the right spot? Yes. Russell Amador writes, hey, John, by any chance have you seen Babadook? It's about how a widow and her son cope with life following the death of her husband. It came out in 2014, and I thought, what an interesting movie, totally worth the watch. It's a nice little horror movie. I hate saying this because I feel like a monster saying it. The kid actor is not so good. Did you say that when my daddy died? The kid, And look, it's unfair. We shouldn't put high expectations of thespian skills on children. But it's just lately, I've seen a lot of movies where, like, children actors always used to suck. And it would be a rare thing when a child performance come on screen and go, holy crap, that kid was good. But I feel like a lot of movies I've seen lately have child performances in it that are actually quite good. We've got used to it. And I'm not saying the kid was terrible. John, you're sitting here on your show bashing on a kid. I know I'm a monster. I don't mean to bash. I'm just saying, whereas I've become accustomed to surprisingly great performances from even child actors. Now that one stood out to me a little bit, but be that as it may. It's a kid. He's still a 10 times better actor than me at age 5 than I am at mine. So, hey, it is what it is. But I like Babadook. Babadook was fun. Anyway, thanks for that, Russell. If you have not seen Babadook, you totally should. And the pictures in the book are terrifying. Anyway, Benny95 writes, hey, John, I highly recommend you play the Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth games. They're absolutely amazing, can be played in single player or local play with friends. As big fans, Big fans if the films me and my bro play these games for hours, check it out. Okay, so I'm going to ask you something here. Let me see if I can get this. I'm not sure I can. I'm going to see if I can open this up. So if it is the same, let's say, oops, I didn't mean to do that. What happened there? Something bad just happened. Hold a second. Confirm. Oh no. I have never been able to do that before. I have never had basically a system shutdown where I lost the stream and then was able to reconnect to the stream afterwards. I've never successfully been able to do that before. It's never happened. So, okay, so here's what happens. Here's what happens. Here's what happened. Somebody just asked about the question about Mordor. And I'm going to see if I can get this back up and running again. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull back up the questions, which got shut down when the system almost shut down. Somebody was asking about the Lord of the Rings games. And I was trying to open my Steam account to show you guys that I have 2 Lord of the Rings games in my Steam account. But the problem is I've never actually played them yet. So whatever. So I was trying to bring that up. And what happened was when I brought up the Steam account, it went full screen. And when I tried to get rid of the full screen, let me see if I can get this in here or not. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this, guys. Let me try. When I went full screen, and I'm not going to be able to have the questions on screen, guys. So I'm going to have to read the rest of the questions without them being on screen. My apologies. But when I went full screen with the with Steam to show you my Steam thing, it went full screen and I tried to shut down Steam. But when I hit shutdown, it actually tried to shut down my computer and it shut down all of my apps. So that kind of left me kind of screwed here. So anyway, let's pick it up here. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not going to be able to have the questions on screen. I can try to get it up and running here. I'm not sure. No, I'm not going to be able to get this part up and running. So we'll for now, I'll just have to read the rest of the question as it is. So I'm really, I do apologize for that, guys, but I'm going to keep reading off the questions here, okay? So anyway, I've got the Lord of the Rings games, like something of Mordor and Shadow of Mordor or something like that, but I've never played it. I bought it, and it's on my Steam account, but I've never actually played it yet, so I think I will get around to trying at that point. All right, Superman Steve writes, John, you're not just anyone. One day you're going to have to make a choice. You have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. This is Pa Kent. Whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world. Jonathan Kent, best quote ever. It is Jonathan Kent, and it is one of the best quotes ever. You know what? Give me a second, guys. I'm going to see if I can get... I'm going to see if I can get this, because I hate not having the questions on screen. I'm going to see if I can get that on screen. So give me one quick second here. Oh, I think I'm going to be able to do it. Give me 1 second here. And there we go. We got the questions back. Sort of. We got the questions back, sort of. But I think we do. All right. Whew. Guys, these are the nightmares you have when you do the show live and you have no interns and nothing like that, and it just gets in the way. But yes, that is a great quote. That is a great quote from Man of Steel. I love that quote, and it's awesome. All right, let's keep moving here. Next up, Aviator 986 writes, and sends in like a $20 tip. Thank you for that, Aviator. All right, man, we lost Brian Dennehy. Yeah, it's really sad. So sad. But were you also aware that Ranjit Chowdhury, the actor who played Vikram on The Office, died yesterday as well? I read that news, actually. So some of you are saying, Vikram on The Office? Vikram was in like 1 or 2 episodes when Michael Scott was working at a telemarketing company. I think he was in like 2 episodes. And he was a really funny character too. Anyway, from The Office, died yesterday as well. Flew to India to get some dental work done and somehow got a ruptured ulcer in his intestine. Died post-surgery. Very, very sad hearing about that as well. So yeah, that was really, really sad to hear. And obviously, on a day also where the Brian Dennehy thing is going to capitalize on the news feeds, obviously, but that was also very, very sad to hear. All right, Mandalorian of Gondor writes, hey, John, have you seen Heroes United on Mighty Raccoon's YouTube channel? I've never heard of either of those. It features the greatest crossover with Bats, Cap, Wick, Goku, and so many more fighting the coronavirus, and it's well worth a watch. It's exactly the fan stuff you say belongs on YouTube. That does sound exactly like the sort of fan stuff I say belongs on YouTube, but I've not seen this because I've never heard of this, but I'm sure a lot of people now are going to go check it out, so thank you for sharing that, Mandalorian. All right, Aviator also writes, remember when Todd McFarlane was going to reboot Spawn with Jamie Foxx? I hear that studios just won't bite. Well, no, it's not that the studios won't bite. The problem that he's facing right now is, number one, he's an idiot for wanting to direct it himself. He's never directed anything. He has no idea how to direct something. So it's completely idiotic that he's trying to direct it himself. On top of all that, what I understand is not that he's having a hard time getting studios to bite. It's just that the people who are supposed to be financing it are looking at a script and going, this is terrible. No, we're not going to finance it like this. Change it. Make it better. But he really wants it the way it is, even though he knows nothing about movies. So from my understanding, as limited as that is, that's the problem he's running into. So I don't know. Listen, I said from day one, I highly doubt this project's ever going to happen. I highly doubt it's ever going to happen. But, I mean, who knows? Like, crazier things have happened. Let's see how this turns out. All right, Amir writes, hi, guys. Rob recommended The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Yeah, he very much loved that movie and gave it a recommendation. So I watched it, and it's rather good. The singing takes some getting used to. It's very unique visually in terms of storytelling. And by the end, I was left wondering, were either of them actually happy? That's a great question to ask. Yeah, listen, one of the things I love is finding out that people went and watched movies that either I or Rob recommended. It's great because it makes it feel like we weren't just recommending them for no reason whatsoever. So it's always good to hear. And I will pass that along, Amir. I will make sure I pass that along to Robert. Thanks for sharing and thanks for going to watch that thing. All right. Amir also writes, hi. My movie recommendation today is It Could Happen to You, the Nick Cage Fonda, Bridget Fonda? Bridget Fonda, I believe, is the girl in that, I think. I'm going to have to go look that up. It Could Happen to You. It's a romantic comedy. It's very charming, a feel-good movie about a random coincidence that brings two people together. By the end, you would have regained faith in humanity. Like, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be mistaken, it's the one where he wins like a lottery. And his tip to the waitress or something was that if I win, you get half or something like that. I can't remember. Let me bring it up here. Okay, yes, there it is. Okay, so It Could Happen to You, 1994, and it is indeed Nicolas Cage and Bridget Fonda. Rosie Perez was in that too. I totally forgot about that. And it says a police officer promises to share his lottery ticket with a waitress in lieu of a tip. So there it is. So he doesn't have anything to tip, played by Bridget Fonda, who's lovely in this movie. And it says, if I win, you get half. And then he wins. And then, okay, well now, you know what I mean? It is a nice little movie. I remember that one being a nice little movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember that being a nice little movie, actually. It Could Happen to You with Nick Cage, Bridget Fonda. Go, guys, check it out. Take Amir's recommendation. All right. Edward Wells writes, R.I.P. Brian Dennehy. Absolutely, man. What a sad thing to hear today. What a sad thing to hear. Anthony Lucalano writes, nearly finished watching Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, and all I can say is that the sentence for making gratuitous, sexiest jokes in 1983, then I had better start writing up some gratuitous, sexiest jokes. In all seriousness, I really like the movie. And listen, it is never a mistake to go and start watching some Monty Python. Almost anything. It doesn't matter. Flying Circus, Holy Grail, Life of Brian. It doesn't matter. Man, I remember when I first got the internet, when I first got a computer that had internet access, there were two documents I found online that I was able to download, and I read those exhaustively. One was a complete list of the David Letterman top 10 lists, and so I downloaded that. And the other was the complete scripts of all the Monty Python sketches, and I would read those incessantly. Monty Python's so great. I'm glad you're getting caught up on those movies, Anthony. All right. Julius Goodwin writes, who sends in a $20 tip. Thank you for that, Julius. I envy you, sir. On Thursdays, you have the pleasure of the company of lovely and talented women such as Miss Carr and Miss Cummings, while on the others, you are blessed with the inestimable verisimilitude of Robert Meyer Burnett. Yeah, listen, one of the great things about my career in doing stuff like this is that I have had the incredible pleasure and honor of working with a lot of great people. I've had the pleasure and honor of working with a lot of great people. And right now, at this period in time, that is no exception. I work with some great people, but not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. Jonathan Voico, Ray, my brother-in-law, who does a lot of the graphics and images here on the show. I just work with really good people, and I'm very, very fortunate that way. So thank you for the kind words, Julius, and I'll make sure I pass those along. Thanks for that, man. All right. Royal T writes, sends in a $50 tip. So, of course, Royal T, if there is a question in here, first of all, thank you for supporting the channel on that level. And if there is a question in here, not only will it be read now here on the show and answered, but it's also going to get its own standalone video a little bit later. Keep your eyes open for that. All right. Hey, John. Hope you and yours are doing well. We are, thank you. Got a bit of dream casting on F4, and I'm curious about your thoughts. John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as Reed and Sue, Ansel Elgort as Johnny Storm, and The Rock as the Thing. I don't know, maybe I'm stir crazy, but that would be amazing. Here's the thing. You all know what I'm going to say here, right? When it comes to X actor and X roles, I don't care. Would John Krasinski be great as Mr. Fantastic? Yeah, but again, even though I say that, it all depends. Listen, depending on how the script is written and how these characters and the iterations of these characters and how they're brought to life, this could be the worst casting. All this could be the worst casting. Depending on how they write Ben Grimm, The Rock playing Ben Grimm could be the worst casting in the world. If they wrote him a different way, The Rock could be the greatest casting. And that's why I don't often engage much in fan casting. I don't engage in it very much because it all depends on how the individual screenwriter decides they want to write that character. Would Jack Nicholson have been a great Joker in the Christopher Nolan movie, the way that Joker was written? I'm not sure. Would Heath Ledger have been a good Joker in the Suicide Squad Joker, the way that Joker was written? I don't know that he would have been a good Joker, but he was a great Joker for Christopher Nolan's script. And that's why I hesitate to do that. But all other things being equal, royalty, all other things being equal, I will say this. If I woke up tomorrow and Variety was reporting that John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Ansel Elgort, and The Rock were all cast to play the Fantastic Four, I would certainly have no problem with that. I'm not the biggest Ansel Elgort fan in the world. I will admit that. I don't think he's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I'm not the biggest Ansel Elgort fan in the world at this point, but I've certainly liked him in a couple of things. But yeah, if I woke up tomorrow and that was the announcement, that was plastered all over, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, I'd have no problem with that. I would be quite happy. That would be exciting. So we'll wait and see, but it could be anybody. I'm just going to assume that whoever they cast is the right fit for the way their script writes it. That's the important thing. As long as they get talented people, that's all I care about. Everything else, I'll leave to them. But yeah, if they announce that tomorrow, royalty, I'd be certainly excited. All right, Julius Goodwin also sends in a $50 tip. Julius, thank you so much for that, man. We appreciate that here. And again, if there's a question in here, we'll answer it now and answer it in its own standalone video in the next week or two. All right. I know you don't have much time to watch shows, even good ones like BoJack Horseman. So I wanted to ask if you get the time that you watch the clip entitled The View from Halfway Down. I'll ask about it later to get your opinion. No answer vid needed. Well, I appreciate that. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to assume here, Julius, and I'll need you to email me if I'm incorrect in this assumption. I'm going to assume here that The View from Halfway Down is a clip from BoJack Horseman, because that's the show you recommend you've referenced. If it's not that, can you email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com and let me know it's from a different show? Just because I'll go watch this clip, but I just need to make sure it's the right clip that I'm watching. So there's that, and then I will let you know what I think about it. All right, Julius, thanks for that, man. I will keep my eyes open for that. All right, Ben Rayner writes, Campea, I think Harloff is losing his mind over at SEN, and it's glorious when he had the pleasure to interview Zalfa. I have no idea what that is. He just lost it. You have to check it out. No, I don't. That's the interesting thing. I don't have to check it out. But I will give Christian a call because I do need to. I was meaning to call him anyway because I saw a picture he shared on social media that he had shaved his head. So I do have to give him a call and say, what's up with that? I'll have to check that out. All right, Kyle writes, watched Avengers again after yesterday's topic about Joss Whedon. God, I wish I could relive seeing that for the first time. Hope he directs Fantastic Four. Dude, listen, again, it's not just the MCU. People, I don't know why people are so short-sighted on this. Not only the MCU, the comic book genre today would not be where it is if it was not for Joss Whedon and what he did with that first Avengers movie. Everybody forgets so conveniently because it seems like we have 5-month-long memory spans and that's it. We forget anything that happened more than 5 months ago. I'm guilty of that too. But everybody forgets that when that first Avengers movie was coming, like we all just know the world as comic book movies dominate everything. But before Avengers, that first Avengers movie, that first kick at the can of trying to do a big team-up superhero movie that had never been done before on that scale, on that level, with comic book franchises like this. If that movie had not crushed it, the MCU would look so different today. I think the comic book genre today would be totally different. But Joss Whedon came in and established, we've talked about this a lot. The Avengers established what the DNA of the whole MCU is, but Joss Whedon really set the tone for what the MCU was at its core. You got tastes of it in Iron Man and the first Thor and the first Captain America, yes, but it wasn't until Joss Whedon pulled it all together to create the template of this is what an MCU movie can be. And if you look at all of the MCU movies that have followed, they all follow that template. Or at least massively refer to that template. Joss Whedon is the man. So much so that Kevin Feige, and everybody forgets about this, Kevin Feige started flying Joss Whedon in to sets of other MCU movies that weren't even his, so he could rewrite pages on the fly, on the day, to improve those things. And they always did improve them. They always gave nice little bumps. Yeah. But, you know, and then everybody forgets about that with Justice League. Everybody forgets what the situation was when he walked in. Joss Whedon didn't want to undo everything Zack Snyder had done. Warner Brothers decided they wanted to undo. Warner Brothers didn't like what Zack Snyder was making. Right or wrong, fair or unfair, bottom line is Warner Brothers didn't like what Zack Snyder was making. So they bring in Joss Whedon and say, you, undo all of this, but keep some of it, and everything you do has to feel somehow like it fits in with all the other stuff, and you've only got this much time, and you've only got this much money to do it. Go. No other director could have done a better job. Under those just terrible circumstances, I propose very few directors could have done. And by the way, Justice League, for all of its problems, ended up having a much higher critic rating, still not great, but a much higher critic rating than Batman vs. Superman did, and a higher audience rating than Batman vs. Superman did, despite the fact that Joss Whedon walked into a train wreck where Warner Brothers is saying, we want to scrap 80% of this. We want you to redo it, but do it in a way that's different, but also fits in with the 20% you're keeping. And you've only got this much time and you've only got this many resources. Go. People who don't know anything about the movie business then go, Joss Whedon didn't make the Zack Snyder movie. But they don't take into consideration the circumstances in which he faced. And personally, I thought what he was able to pull up, because I enjoy Justice League. But then again, other than the Harley Quinn movie, I like every DCU movie. I love Man of Steel. I like Batman vs. Superman. I like Justice League, whatever. But I think what he was able to pull off with Justice League, whether you like Justice League or not, and it's totally cool if you don't like Justice League. I don't like Birds of Prey. That's fine. It's totally cool if you don't like Justice League. It's totally fine. If you watch that movie and didn't like it, yeah, I could see why. There's a lot of things that are not to like. I get it. But even if you don't like Justice League, I don't know how you, with your eyes open, cannot tip the hat to go, but man, making it at least as good as it was, even if you don't think it was good, was a monumental feat. It was a monumental feat. It was incredible what he was able to do under those ridiculous, unprecedented circumstances. Almost unprecedented. Ron Howard had to do the same thing with Solo. And he did a great job on that too. But anyway, yeah, it frustrates me. It frustrates me. Now, you don't have to like Justice League. It's cool if you hate the movie. But as far as Joss Whedon's involvement in that and what he was able to salvage in a situation that I don't know how many other directors could have nearly done as good of a job as he did under those insane circumstances. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. If you just don't recognize that, I simply don't know how to help you. I just don't know. I don't know how to. It's one of the more frustrating things in the movie world right now. Anyway, to me. Next up, let's see. Anthony Lucalano writes, after Monty Python's Flying Circus, I'm thinking about watching Ray Harryhausen's Jason and the Argonauts. Absolutely go and watch Jason and the Argonauts. Absolutely go watch that. It's one of the classics, and it's one of those movies that's like Godfather. Is when you see it, you will recognize how influential it was over a lot of other films. And by the way, guys, a buddy of mine just texted me, San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled. They pulled the plug on it. Let me see if I can bring this up right now. I'm not sure that I can, but I'm going to try here. Of course, this is all a result of the fact that I had my my computer reset. So give me a moment here. I am not getting this to work. Hold on a second. I don't know why I'm not getting this to work. Give me a second. Sorry. Again, this is all stuff that I had all set up and ready to go before the show started. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Now we're cooking. Now we are cooking. Okay, let me see if I can bring this up here so you guys can see what I'm seeing and you all know what I'm talking about. Okay, right now it is being announced that Comic-Con has been canceled. This is coming from the Wrap. San Diego Comic-Con canceled for the first time in its 51-year history amid the coronavirus pandemic. Again, this really comes as no surprise. We knew they were holding on. They wanted to do it. This is what they're writing right now. In an unprecedented move, Comic-Con International has canceled the annual San Diego Comic-Con amid the coronavirus outbreak, organizers announced on Friday. It's the first time the event won't happen as planned in its 51-year history. Comic-Con was originally scheduled to take place July 23rd to July 26th. The event will instead return to the San Diego Convention Center from July 22nd to July 25th of 2021. So they are not delaying it. They are not postponing it. They are not, they're just straight up canceling it. They're straight up canceling it. And that's understandable. Like, some people might ask, why not just delay it? You know, why not just delay it? Why that came up, I'm not sure. Why not just delay it? And the reason I don't think you can delay it is because... as I try to get this figured out here, what's going on with... Oh, I know why. Give me a second here. Sorry, guys. This has been just a brutal day, technically, with the whole shutdown thing. All right, here we are. The reason you can't delay it is because it is a logistical nightmare to try to reschedule. It's a logistical nightmare to try to reschedule this with hotels and planning, and there's other things planned for San Diego, and so they have just decided to move the damn thing. We will talk about this more tomorrow on Open Mic. I think tomorrow on Open Mic we'll talk a lot more about this, and we'll see where things are at then. But yes, there we go. They have canceled San Diego Comic-Con, and it is what it is. I mean, look, I thought a month ago there was a chance that San Diego Comic-Con could still happen. They were still planning on moving forward, all that kind of stuff. And I thought if things get lifted, but now we're past mid-April. And it's going to be really, really tricky because as of right now, it's just 3 months away. And we still don't know when things are going to be officially open. And then they got to ramp everything up. And so I get it. I'm disappointed. I'm super disappointed, but I get it. So... Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm not really sure. That's unfortunate. I'm bummed out. But anyway, guys, let's get back to the live questions. Let's see. Mike Callahan writes, "Hey, John, so I know yesterday you said you weren't the biggest fan of Passion of the Christ, but what about Jim Caviezel's performance as Jesus? I thought Jim Caviezel was quite good. I feel like the performance is criminally underrated, especially learning an accent language for the role. Accents honestly don't impress me, nor do lack of accents. I really don't care. As far as performances go, accents don't really bother me. When they pull them off, great, wonderful. But honestly, accents is a shtick. I don't really care about the accents, but I did think the performance itself was quite good. Yes, I'll give it that. Again, I don't hate Passion of the Christ by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just not as big on it as some other people are. But yeah, I thought Jim Caviezel was actually quite good in it. All right, Matthew Heap writes, I'm a Brit and a film fan, but I don't know any of the history of Pinewood Studios. Why do so many big Hollywood blockbusters film in England? Well, I think there's probably a lot of different reasons for that. I think there's tax incentives. I think there's overall cost of doing it there. I think Pinewood Studios are uniquely equipped to handle certain types of films that can shoot there and what they're able to do. You're seeing, so a lot of stuff films at Pinewood. Atlanta has developed a lot of big studios and things like that, studio space to be used as well. That's another big thing, but I don't think it's just because of the history of the place. It's because of it is practically a very good place and a very easy place to go and shoot stuff, and it is equipped to handle the types of shoots that a lot of movies want to handle. And so as a result of that, they've housed some incredible, iconic films and productions there. So you put all that together, it just makes it a very lucrative spot to go and do that. All right, thanks for that, Matthew. All right, Shahil writes, Happy Friday. You can add my name to the non-existent and ever-increasing list of people who watch the Godfather trilogy thanks to this show and its fans. Next up, A Simple Favor. I think you're going to love A Simple Favor. I love that movie. But yeah, we've been hearing from a lot of people, Sahil, a lot of people who have never seen the Godfather movies, taking advantage of the opportunity they've got right now to go and watch those films. And it excites me. It excites me seeing so many people going and checking out these movies for the first time because they are amongst the greatest films ever made. So I'm really glad you're checking those out. All right, Michael Bradley writes, hello, John. Just watched Hotel Artemis and Bad Times at the El Royale and liked them a lot. Two original movies that unfortunately didn't even break even. Yeah, I'm honestly, Hotel Artemis was one that I had higher hopes for than it actually turned out being. So I was not thrilled with Hotel Artemis, to be honest. Bad Times at the El Royale, I quite enjoyed. It's very much it's a kind of a mix between a Quentin Tarantino film and an M. Night Shyamalan film in some ways. And I mean that in all the best ways. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was different. It was fun. It was unique. Had pretty decent trailers. Very good cast. I'm honestly not sure why more people didn't go see it. I really am. I'm not sure why more people didn't go see it, but I'm glad you saw it, Michael, and I'm glad you had a good time watching it. All right. Latin Shark 956 writes, hey, John, fun idea. Let Ann cut your hair. Probably not going to happen. Yeah, I'm probably not going to let my wife cut my hair. I may just take the buzzers to it myself and just shave the whole, not all of it off, but like just very, very short. I might just take the buzzers to it and do it myself, but I probably won't let Ann do it. All right. Lord Vanderkill writes, John looking like Mad Max with glasses, pretty much. Happy birthday, Mama Campea. Yes, happy birthday again to my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. Thank you for that, Lord Vanderkill. I appreciate that. Even the Mad Max comment. All right. Randall McMurphy writes, I wanted to know your thoughts. Oh, sends in a $50 tip. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, man. If there is a question in here, it will also be answered in its own standalone video. All right. I wanted to know your thoughts on the difference between fun blockbuster movies and profound quality acting, often Oscar-winning films. Specifically, the pattern of the difference in money they each generate. Can someone enjoy both without the contradiction? Here's the problem with the question, Randall, and it's a common one. Is that thinking there is a definitive formula that purely defines one over the other. And there's simply not. There's simply not. And that's the key thing. So, like, for instance, movies are meant to be, I said this a little bit earlier in the show. Movies are meant to be, first and foremost and primarily, an experiential event. Watching a movie is meant to be an experiential event. We go to movies for an experience. Now, there are different types of experiences that movies can deliver. Fear, shock, terror, thrills, fun, adventure, laughter, sadness, crying, weeping, overjoyed, shock, surprise. I mean, there's movies can deliver an almost infinite number of different types of experiences, but at the end of the day, that is what they are mainly designed to be. Experiential events that make an impact on us on an experiential level. And some go even deeper than that by not just making an impact on an experiential level, but sometimes having profound impacts on an emotional level as well. Different movies go for different types of experiences. It's the same reason like theme park rides at an amusement park. You get on it for that experience. The thrills, the rush, the adrenaline, whatever it is, you get on those rides for an experience. People watch horror movies for that experience. People watch comedies for that experience. People watch deep dramas for that experience, you know? It all depends. Now, no one movie, like you make a fun superhero action film, does not guarantee it's going to make any money. There's no formula there. I introduce you to Shazam, which is great. Didn't make any money. It didn't lose money, but it didn't make any money. I introduce you to Hellboy. That lost a tank load of money. But at the same time, I introduce you to Avengers, which made billions of dollars. On the other hand, you know, I can introduce you like more, Quentin Tarantino has some big hits and stuff like that. I mean, it just, there's no one real definitive thing. But certain experiences in the movie theaters can appeal to a wider group in the audience than another, right? So there might be more people in the average audience. And again, we're speaking in generalities here. Every individual movie is its own unique situation. But generally speaking, there is a higher percentage of the movie-going audience that wants the thrill ride experience of going to a movies. The action, the adventure, the excitement, the laughter, you know. They are going for that theme park ride, to use Martin Scorsese kind of terminology. They're going for that type of an experience, which, by the way, Martin, that type of an experience is no less valid than the other types of experiences, just so you know. But there is a higher percentage of the movie-going audience that probably is looking for that type of experience, while still a lot of people that can appreciate the others. So I think it all comes down to the types of experiences that these films deliver. But we'll talk about this a little bit more in depth on that, Randall, when we get around to answering your question in its own standalone video in the next week or two. So keep your eyes open for that. And again, Randall, thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level. All right. Lowell writes, happy birthday to your mom. It's my mom's birthday too. Well, happy birthday to your mom, Lowell. Thanks for sending in the well wishes. I appreciate that. Anthony Lucalano writes, what's your opinion on director Francis Lawrence's Constantine film? I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. I've only seen it once, but I remember really liking it. Yeah, I was never a fan of it. I'm kind of in the minority a little bit. There are a lot of people that like, I remember a while ago, like after John Wick, a lot of people started talking about they should do another Constantine movie. I'm like, really? Because I never thought it was all that good. But I know some of my friends enjoyed it quite a bit. I know other people did, but I never actually thought it was all that good. All right, Metal Pizza Dude writes, hey, John, when the pandemic is over, will the major film studios ditch their rivalry and have crossover events to get people back into cinemas? No, it just creates too much complication. It's just way too much of a nightmare to do. Plus, you do that, there's no money to be made because you're just dividing money up amongst too many people at that point. And any film that you try to do, and besides, what makes you think, like, crossover films don't automatically equal money. They just don't. So I'm going to go ahead and guess, like, no, there's no reason to do it. It wouldn't deliver the results that you think it would result. And it would just divvy up the money too many different ways that no one's going to make any money on it, when these studios right now are really in need of making money. They really need to make money, and their movies on their own can make their own money. So no, I don't see them doing crossover events. But by the way, it's not unprecedented that there have been movies before where studios have cooperated on certain movies. That has happened before, and it will happen again, but I don't think on the scale that you're talking about. That's just my thought on that, Metal. Thanks for writing that in, dude. All right, Julius Goodwin writes, get her haircut, hippie. God, dude, you have no idea how badly I want to. You have no idea how badly I want to. Kenneth 231 writes, hey, John and gang, I watched Insomnia the other night, as you recommended. The film is spectacular. I think it's Al Pacino's best role since The Godfather. Robin Williams is fantastic. The concept of the film is fascinating. It is my favorite Christopher Nolan film, and it's the one Christopher Nolan film nobody has watched. It's crazy to me. A Christopher Nolan film starring Al Pacino, multi-Academy Award winner Hilary Swank, Robin Williams, and nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen it. It's awesome. It is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. It's not for everybody. Let me tell you that right up front. I cannot guarantee you will like it if you watch it, but I highly recommend you take Kenneth's recommendation and check it out, because I love that movie. I think it's brilliant. All right. Dacky Woods writes, hey, John, if you had children, what would be the first 3 movies you would introduce them to first? Mine are Batman 89, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Peter Pan. Oh, those are all good. Those are all good. But for me, personally, the first 3 movies I introduced them to are not necessarily the best ones, but the first 3 movies I introduced them to are probably Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, the 1994 animated one. Is it 94 or 97? I think 94. I'm going to go with 94. Hold on a second. Drop my pick. A quick story about this pick for my guitar. This pick, and I'll tell you why. Ann and I are trying to plan our 10th anniversary right now, which is coming up in a couple of months. And Ann and I thought, because one of our favorite concerts we've ever gone to is a Bare Naked Ladies concert. It's like one of our favorite concerts we ever went to. So what does that have to do with this pick? Well, Bare Naked Ladies also, I have a little bit of an interesting Bare Naked Ladies story. Like 20 something years ago, I was every once in a while helping my buddy Jeff out, who still to this day works concerts. I mean, he does all the big grid laser light designs of the biggest concert tours in the world. A little over 20 years ago, he was just getting started, doing roadie work and setting up little park hand lights and stuff like that. Anyway, I went and worked with my buddy Jeff at a big Friendship Festival concert, like weekend long concert in Fort Erie, Ontario. And the headliner was the Bare Naked Ladies. And so I went, and the guys could not have been cooler. The Bare Naked Ladies dudes could not have been cooler. They were playing hacky sack with the roadies. They hung out all day. They were there for like 12 hours, eating in the tent with everybody, inviting everybody in, eating with everybody, talking to everybody. They weren't these, no, we're music stars. We don't talk. No, they were awesome. And at the end of one of the shows, one of the guys in Bare Naked Ladies gave me a guitar pick. And I've kept this guitar pick ever since. Kept the guitar. I mean, my guitar case is filled with picks. I keep a lot of picks, but I've always kept the Bare Naked Ladies guitar pick. So I said to my wife when she suggested that we go to this Bare Naked Ladies concert at the Greek Theater in a couple of months, if concerts allowed to happen by then, that I wanted to buy the VIP package so I could go to the meet and greet. And I wanted to go up to the dude from Bare Naked Ladies and tell him, over 20 years ago, you did this for me. And I thought it was the coolest thing. And I've kept it to this day. And I still play my guitar with it sometimes. But anyway, that's a little story. Pick of Destiny. Pick of Destiny. Okay, let's move on here. So the films would be probably Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. And I think the original Robin Hood animated one with the fox and everything that they're talking about making a live action film to. That's probably it. All right, Jay Master writes, hey John, I read on Variety, exclusive Stellan Skarsgård and Kyle Soller are set to join Diego Luna's Disney Plus Star Wars series, but both actors are still in final negotiations for their roles. Stellan Skarsgård is an interesting addition for sure. I mean, I'd just be happy to hear any movement on this show because I've been starting to wonder if that show is even going to happen. I'll be honest with you, I'm still not even hearing this news, I'm not 100% sure it'll happen, but I certainly hope it does. Adding a Stellan Skarsgård is nothing but a good idea. Nothing but a good idea. All right, James Bonner writes, Dennehy was in FX and its sequel, FX2, about an effects artist who, with the help of a cop, Dennehy, uses his skills to go up against mobsters. I remember FX. I do. Dennehy, that's the thing about Dennehy's career. And if you go to his IMDb page, it's like this long. It's crazy. The dude was just in so many things. And, one of those actors that probably a lot of people didn't know his name, but instantly knew his face and his voice and this powerful presence he brought to the screen. It was always so good, but that's a good one, James. Thanks for bringing that one up. All right. Ryan Trabuco writes, happy Friday, John. Just saw an alert from Subway restaurants benefiting Feeding America, the nonprofit you helped raise awareness for. For every Subway footlong purchase, they will donate one meal, up to 15 million meals, to Feeding America. Thank you. That is a great idea. I got a Subway right up the street from where I live, like literally a 5-minute walk from where I live. I love Subway. I don't know why I don't eat there more. I think I've had like one Subway sandwich in the last year, and I love Subway. Why have I not? Now you've put on my brain, I'm probably going to go get a Subway sandwich for lunch. Now that I know it's going to help a good cause. So thank you for pointing that out, Ryan. I appreciate you spreading the good word. All right. This is a placeholder name writes, I don't know if it had been officially said, but there is no more at-home movie recommendations anymore. No, there are. We are going to do more. The issue has been, there has been so much news lately that we've just not had time to do them. Like part of the reason why I was doing new at-home movie recommendations was the fact that I expected that we would not have a lot of movie news to talk about over the next number of weeks and months. But especially this past week, it's like every day has been packed. And I'd like to get through as many super chat questions as we can and tip questions because, people send them in. I mean, I do companion videos, but I want people to see their question read on the show that they send it in for as much as I can. So I have been, on days that have been full shows, I've been taking out the movie recommendations to make sure we have enough time for more super chats. And I just didn't do one today because I didn't want to do one by myself. I wanted to do it when I had Robert here. So no, you will still see me and Robert doing movie recommendations at the end of the shows, but just on shows that aren't overly packed. It's just that this past week has been kind of nutty for that. All right. Let's see here. James G writes, Hey, John, no special video. Oh, sends in a $50 super chat. Thank you for the support, James D. I appreciate that, dude. No special video needed. The birthday song made my day. Keep it filthy, bro. Yeah, I'll pick up the old guitar here. You know, come walk with Campea instead of walking with Elias. I can't, yeah, the arms on the chair are making it almost impossible here to hold it. And what says that? Yeah. What am I trying to do? Do you guys know that song? Extra points to you guys if you know the song there. Hold on, I'll do it one more quick time. I haven't played that in forever. Let me know if you know the song in the super chat here. Hold on a second. I don't even know if you can hear it properly. I'll try it a little bit again here. You guys got it. Well, I guess that means I didn't butcher it too terribly badly. You guys guessed it. If you're at least able to recognize the song, at least that means I didn't butcher it too badly. So yeah, everybody's got it. Dust in the wind. Fart in the rain, says Movie Master or anything. Anyway, thanks so much, James, for the support. We really appreciate that very much around here. It's part of the reason we're able to do these shows because you guys actually support the shows that you watch. So thank you for that, James. I appreciate it. All right, let's move on here. Charles A. writes, did you see that Christian shaved his head? I did. I haven't talked to him since it happened. But I do need to give him a call. I need to give him a call and find out, okay, so what brought that on? Just curious. What brought that on? I'm just curious what brought that on. All right, Senior Film writes, the budget for Gangs in New York was $97 million. Someone has to bring Scorsese back to earth. No need for a $200 million plus budget. I agree. I don't know what the hell Scorsese's smoking right now. Like, because that's the word that his new drama that he wants to do with Leonardo DiCaprio, it was budgeted at $175 million. $175 million, which is already stupid, ludicrous. But then the budget ballooned up to over $200 million, and the studio he was supposed to do it with, Paramount, said, no, we can't do it. So Paramount has gone to Scorsese, for those of you who didn't hear the story the other day, and said, you go shop this around other places. So he took it to Universal, and they said no. He took it to MGM, and they said no. And now he's having to go back to Netflix or Apple. So he's trying to get either Netflix or Apple to sign up to do it. And you know he doesn't want his movies on Netflix or Apple. He would rather his movies be on the big screen. But I don't know why he's spending that much. I just don't understand it. Star Wars, for heaven's sakes. A Star Wars movie doesn't cost $200 million. I just don't get you right. Somebody's got to bring it back to earth. All right. JBKB24 just sends in a $10 super chat to be supportive. Thank you, JBKB. I appreciate that, dude. All right, John Crow writes, started Friday Night Lights the other night, the movie or the show, and was blown away. The way they were able to hook me in just in the first episode, I guess that's the show, makes me emotional, care about the characters, and keep me invested in the story was amazing. What an incredible and emotional plot. And I'll tell you what else, John. I have not watched the show. I've seen the movie, not watched the show. Robert Meyer Burnett loves this show. Like, absolutely loves that show. So you and him can absolutely commiserate together at the same time. And it's some fantastic cast have come out of that show as well. It's always been one that I've wanted to get around to watching because I don't know. The movie was great. I didn't see the need for a show. I didn't understand the appeal of it. I still don't understand the appeal of it. But so many people I know love that show so much, including Robert, and now you're mentioning it as well, John. I'm going to have to make sure I sit down and check it out at some point because everybody says nothing but amazing things about it. So I'll probably have to do that at some point. All right. Ethan Holgate writes, hey, John, I've just wondered, will Disney sell R-rated movie properties owned by Fox that they own now, considering they have no interest in R-rated movies? Oh, no, they'll just put it on Hulu. They'll just put it on Hulu. Yeah, that's stuff that is clearly is not a home on Disney Plus. They'll just put that on Hulu. So yes, just because it's not going to be on Disney Plus doesn't mean they have no interest. They do have an interest. They wanted that library. And I think you're going to see just a lot of it show up here. Well, you know, I got to stop fiddling with my pick and just put it down. I think you are going to see that stuff, but it'll just pop up on Hulu instead. All right. Xavier Prime writes, movie recommendation, Attack the Block with John Boyega at work, so I can't type a full message, but love the show. Stay healthy. Thank you so much, Xavier. Yeah, that's the movie that put John Boyega on the map, was Attack the Block. Of course, it's, and I think Nick Frost is in that movie too. Aliens attack, and it's a bunch of kids in the neighborhood to defend the block. Anyway, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love Attack the Block as much as a lot of people do, but I enjoyed it. I like it. But if you have not seen it, you absolutely must. Because even though I don't love it as much as most people do, a lot of people love this movie. And so I think if you have not seen Attack the Block, you should. They speak with extremely heavy accents, so sometimes it's a little hard to know what it is they're saying, but check out Attack the Block. It's a good recommendation, Xavier. All right, next one up. Comes to us from Neo Maisie Zoom Dweeby writes, your most underrated fan service comic book movie. Mine, oddly enough, is Mystery Men. Well, I mean, what do you define as a fan service comic book? I don't know that. I don't consider Mystery Men a fan service comic book movie. Mystery Men is really more of a analytical examination of the comic book genre done in humorous form. My voice is starting to go because I never took a break on today's show. I don't really consider it a fan service movie at all. So it like when you ask underrated fan service comic book movie, it really all depends on what your definition of fan service is. My voice is starting to go. It really depends on what your definition is, because you clearly have a different definition than I do. But I will just say the 3 most underrated comic book movies, period, of all time. Number 1, by a mile, Man of Steel. That is the most underrated comic book movie of all time. Number 2, the first Thor movie directed by Kenneth Branagh. Number 3, Captain America, the First Avenger. These are the 3 most underrated comic book movies of all time, especially Man of Steel. Especially Man of Steel. All right, Adam K. writes, have you seen the movie Loose and Waves? I've never heard of Loose and Waves. Oh, the movies, 2 separate. Does it look like one movie title? Yes, I did see Waves. Very, very good. I did not see Loose. Unless I did, and I'm just not remembering it. Let me look it up, but I don't think I've seen Loose. Oh, then I know the movie you're talking about, the Naomi Watts one. I'm familiar with the movie, but no, I have not seen it. But I did see Waves. Waves was great. I did not see Loose. All right, let's see. Sahil writes, first the Olympics, then John's computer, and now San Diego Comic-Con. How many more major shutdowns are we supposed to endure? Well, listen, I think really we got to assume anything within the summer months we're going to be shut down. I think that's just safe to assume at this point. So again, I'm not surprised. Again, I did think there was a period of time when I thought they could still do San Diego Comic-Con, but as time kept progressing and we haven't made, like, we're making progress. We're all making progress, but we haven't made progress at the rate we would have needed to for Comic-Con to really become a reality. So it's unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is. Chris Scorpio writes, what's your feeling on, again, I don't even know what that is. He's taking over the internet. Again, never heard of it. Never heard of it. Phil Corvelli writes, you are tearing me apart, Lisa. Have a great day. Of course, The Room. One of the great, you're tearing me apart. Such a bad movie. Such a bad movie. Jesse writes, everyone might want Emily Blunt, but she was tormented by an invisible man. So let's get Elizabeth Moss as Invisible Woman to turn the tables. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying because she's Invisible Man. I thought you were saying Emily Blunt was tormented by an Invisible Man. No, you're saying Emily Moss was, or Elizabeth Moss. By the way, can we just take a second to appreciate how good of an actress Elizabeth Moss is? Like, if you guys don't watch Handmaid's Tale, oh God, listen, I know for a lot of you, Handmaid's Tale doesn't look like it's the type of movie that would be for you. I get it, because it doesn't look like it's the type of show that would appeal to me either. The show's fantastic. And if you want to really start to appreciate, but of course, she's so good in Invisible Man. She's really good in that. She's just fantastic. All right. Cesar Rivera writes, hey, John, are you going to finish reading the questions from the 12-hour charity stream? Because you said you would answer the rest of them. They're all done. They're all done and answered. I didn't do them, though, because my voice was not going to be able to handle it. I didn't do them, though. Robert actually stepped up and did all the companion videos. It was broken into 4 separate videos. That's how many questions were left over. 4 separate videos. They are done and complete. We were going to start posting them yesterday, but we decided now we're going to start posting those 4 separate companion videos from last week today from the quote unquote semi-marathon we did. Those are going to start getting posted today. So yes, they're all done, all recorded. We just got to post them, and they're going to start getting posted today. All right. Licardo writes, "Hey, John, and this is the final question today, and we're going to wrap it up here today, guys. Here are my favorite Shaw Brother films: Five Deadly Venoms, Five Fingers of Death, Super Ninjas, Fist of the White Lotus, and The Flying Guillotine." I'm not familiar with that one. 36 Chambers, Kid with the Golden Arm. I'm also not familiar with that one. And The One-Armed Swordsman, Thanks and Stay Filthy. Jeez, I love when people start writing in all these, like, I love it when these recommendations come in films I haven't even heard of. So that's awesome. Thank you, Licardo, for sending that in. I appreciate that, dude. And listen, guys, my voice is gone. That will do it. I didn't take a mental note to self. No matter how fast the show seems to be running, I need to take a break. I definitely need to take a break during the show. I have to take a break during the show because my voice is now gone. But we got all the questions done, guys. Listen, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show today here on this Friday. Guys, congratulations. You have triumphantly made it through to the end of yet another week. So let's have a great weekend ahead of us so we can look forward to another week filled with great triumph and victory. And guys, remember, do the four important things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves and take care of the people around you. And let's get this whole BS situation behind us just as fast as we can. That would be great if we could do that. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all you guys who sent in questions today for two different reasons. Number one, you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported the channel while you're doing it. And all of us here on the John Campea YouTube channel, thank you guys very, very much for that. Don't forget, again, a little bit later today, you're going to start seeing those companion videos pop up. Also, tomorrow we will be doing an open mic. I think my voice will be fine by then. So keep your eyes open for tomorrow morning, open mic. Come back and join us for then. Guys, that will do it for me for now. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is John Campea. Happy birthday, Mom.